Kathy Woodard with Clemson University Public Service and Agriculture, and I'm here at the South Carolina Water Resources Conference in Columbia, South Carolina, and I have with me Dr. Kirsten Lackstrom. She is a research associate and co-PI with the Carolina Integrated Sciences and Assessments, correct? Okay. And she had a presentation here yesterday, I believe, that had to do with a tabletop exercise that they did related to the drought that we had here in South Carolina. So I would like for Dr. Lackstrom actually to tell us more about that.
So CISA, the Carolinas Integrated Sciences and Assessments Program, we collaborated with the State Climatology Office. Hope Mizell is the state climatologist, with DNR, South Carolina Water Resources Center, and South Carolina Emergency Management Division to conduct a drought and water shortage tabletop exercise in September 2017. So the presentation reviewed what we did for the exercise, what were some of the key takeaways and gaps and opportunities that we identified at the exercise.
So what were some of the key takeaways that would be important for citizens to know?
Well, first of all, this is the first time it had ever been done, this sort of exercise in South Carolina. We typically exercise for hurricanes and tornadoes and other sorts of hazardous events. So this was the first time we were able to do this. And it got together folks from the emergency management side of response, as well as the Drought Response Committee, which consists of state and local agencies and representatives. So it brought together 80 people from 40 different agencies, which was kind of an important thing to do, to bring together different folks. But in terms of what some of the key takeaways were, we did have vacancies on the Drought Response Committee, and so that sort of identified that as an issue. So it's important to have the right people on the committee to help with monitoring. We recognized that there were some communications gaps in terms of inconsistent messaging around drought and water shortages, whether that be across different local communities and the state agencies. So it was recognized that we need more consistent messaging. And one of the things that we did in response to those kind of needs that were identified, we have a new drought website. The DNR staff put together scdrought.com, which is a new website that has a lot more updated and enhanced information about drought that hopefully will be more easily readable and able to be disseminated to the public.
You said this is the first time we'd ever done anything related to drought. Is that something we need to be concerned about in the future?
Well, the other part of the exercise really identified other places in the process where it would be good to have more practice, more awareness. And since we've had droughts several times, several statewide droughts over the past 20 years, it would be a good thing to continue to practice. And that was one of the recommendations from participants, that we do this on a more regular basis. So maybe not every year like they do with hurricanes, but maybe every couple years, to make sure that people know what their roles and responsibilities are, and to update communications and monitoring as appropriate.
Did you focus on specific communities as part of this tabletop exercise?
No, it was a statewide exercise,
statewide?
So really trying to get different state and local agency folks familiar with each other and what their responsibilities were. There were some federal agencies there as well, utilities that have a role in reservoir management, and that's important during drought as well, keeping track of the reservoir and stream level. So we had a variety of people, but it was really a statewide exercise.
So when will you be doing this again?
Not sure at this point. Like I said, the first one was a year ago, so if we kind of keep on every 2 years or so, we might start planning another one for next year.
All right. Anything else you want to tell us about the work that you do with the Carolina Integrated Sciences and Assessment?
Sure. We are funded by NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We are based at the University of South Carolina, but work primarily in South Carolina and North Carolina on applied climate research and engagement. So our focus areas are on water resources and drought, coastal climate, and health. And so we work with a range of decision makers, the Sea Grant programs, the state climate offices in both states, the Water Resources Center here in South Carolina, to help make sure that people understand climate information, can incorporate it into their decision making, and understand how climate affects society and our environment, the things we care about in the state.
I know adaptation planning has been something that's gotten a lot of attention. Do you do a lot of work related to adaptation planning as it relates to climate and helping people to learn how to plan with that in mind? I guess having the tabletop exercise would be part of that. So.
Right, so that's one dimension of it, certainly specific to drought, but we do have a great collaboration with the South Carolina Sea Grant Consortium, where we fund a position that does coastal climate resilience and risk communications. So a lot of her work, she's based in Charleston, and a lot of her work is based on working with local communities to help them better understand the risks associated with climate and how best to adapt and communicate about those risks. So we do a lot of work.
In your position, what would you say is the most critical research need that South Carolina has related to water resource management?
Well, since most of my work focuses around climate, I would say just research about how we can better understand the wide range of climate impacts that there are and how it affects society. Sometimes climate is naturally incorporated into water resources management in terms of temperature and precipitation data, but in terms of, like you mentioned, this adaptation, how can we do a better job being more resilient to floods and droughts and the sorts of events that we've experienced the last few years. I think that a lot of the research is on the social science side too, to better understand how we can manage those events.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.